Hey folks, I have a message for people looking to buy in York Region. You'll want to hear this, and then I'll get into the latest home prices and insights for week ending May 24th, 2023. So about 3 weeks ago, we listed a property in York Region. Now from inception to listing and selling, inception I mean when I first sat with the sellers, discussed about them selling their home, and so our initial meeting, preparation, then we listed, then we sold, all that took about 3 weeks. In that time, in that pocket that we were listing in, there was only 2 other properties for sale, and the other property had been on the market for about 2 months now. And it really wasn't comparable to ours. So in a sense, we were the only property. We sold, excuse me, that was about 3 weeks ago that we sold that house. Since then, 9 other properties have come on the market. Some sold, but 9 other properties have come on the market since we sold. In another part of York Region, from initially speaking to the sellers to when we listed and then sold, all that took about 4 weeks. There was a lot to do to get this home ready, but all that was about 4 weeks. And at the time we listed and when we first started, there were no other properties for sale. Towards the end, just before we sold, one other property came on. It was a much larger home, many more updates. So it was the next size up type home. So it really wasn't comparable to ours. And since then, and that sold was 2 weeks ago, 4 or 5 other properties have come on the market in that pocket. And that pocket is not really known for having many listings at one time. I'm telling you this because we're also witnessing this in other parts of York Region. These 2 examples I gave are from the side that I'm representing the seller. But I'm also working with buyers in York Region. And I can tell you, there's buyers that maybe I'd show them a house 1 week and 2 or 3 weeks would go without me being able to show them another property in the area they're interested in. That's kind of changed right now. In the last couple of weeks, I'm able to take them out every few days. In a week, I could show them 3 or 4 new properties that have come up. And I'm telling you this, and this is my message for buyers, because we're starting to see the market change. If you're a buyer, you're an active buyer in the field right now, there's a good chance you're seeing more choices. And if you are an active buyer and you're not seeing that, I know you must be frustrated. I know, especially if you've been trying to buy the last couple of months, it's been tough. You've been struggling trying to buy. You are messed up with always trying to compete. My message to you is be patient. I think that's changing. And I say that because this is what we're experiencing in the field. The numbers don't always show it right away, but I'm experiencing more choices in many parts of York Region, and maybe it's going to start expanding to other parts. Maybe it's just going to last for a few weeks. Maybe this is the new market we're heading into for the next few months. I can't say that yet, but right now we are experiencing a change, and be patient. It looks like you could be seeing some more choices out there, which would be great if you're a buyer. Buyers love choice. Sellers, not so much. Sellers don't like the choice. They want to be the only game in town. Buyers love choices. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from this video, subscribe. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description is a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Let's get into the numbers. So what's the thing that can negatively affect home prices? Well, I talked a little bit about it before the intro song, and that's choice. More listings out on the market, more choice could have a downward pressure, usually has a downward pressure on prices. It will negatively affect home prices. I'm not saying it's necessarily a negative thing, because that really depends what side of the transaction you're on. If you're on the selling side, you're looking to list and sell your home, well, it's not a good thing for you. Choice is what puts pressure on prices that come down. The more choice a buyer has, well, it's harder for you to push that other price. A seller prefers to be the only game in town. So choice is not on the seller side. Choice, however, is on the buyer side. So if you're on the buying side, hey, the more choices, the better. You could look at different properties. You could have properties competing against each other for prices that come down versus buyers right now really competing against each other, forcing prices up. So we're seeing more of that in the field right now, more choices. How it's going to play out, we don't know, but that's what's kind of where we're heading right now. Let's get into the numbers. I have here for Vaughan, detached properties only, broken down by week for a whole year. For week ending May 24th, 36 detached properties were sold. 36 is pretty similar to what we've been selling over the last 3 weeks. 10 of those were at $2 million or more, which is double what we did the week before. And it's interesting that we're at 36 and 10 sold at $2 million or more, because it was a long weekend, and in a lot of the other areas we're seeing sales and $2 million properties, everything has come down a bit over the course of the long weekend. Here, we actually did better. Average sold price did come down. $1,825,000 is the new average sold price. That's been coming down for a couple weeks now. Now, 1,825 compared to the peak, we're 18% lower than the peak price that we had last year. That was February last year. 18% equates to about $400,000 off peak pricing. Let's look at the other side of things though. Our lowest pricing was for the month of September. The average for September was $1,507,200. We're 16% higher than our low price in September. 16% works out to be about $253,000. Now, I don't know if we're going to get back down to this type of price, and if you were thinking of buying here and you didn't, and you're going to buy now, the average home in Vaughan is going to cost $250,000 more. Compared to last year, we're 3% higher than last year's average sold price. The median price is 1% higher than where we were a year ago. Both median and average have been trending upwards over the last 3 months. I'm looking at the dotted line, which is a 4-week moving average. However, that's what we've been seeing over the last 3 months. For the last few weeks now, average price has been coming down, so maybe we're going to see a trend coming up going the other way. Of the 36 that sold, 72% sold at list price or more. Listings did come down a bit to 68, and months of inventory has been, for the last few weeks, trending up a bit. It's now sitting at 1.4, so we were coming down. We bottomed out at 0.9, and now it's starting to go up, and we're seeing that with the other side of prices coming down as months of inventory go up. Here's Richmond Hill. 22 detached properties were sold. 9 of those were at $2 million or more. And this is kind of typical. It was a long weekend for week ending May 24th. We've seen sales come down. Property selling at $2 million or more come down in a lot of the areas. We didn't see that so much in Vaughan, but we are seeing it in Richmond Hill and a lot of different areas across the GTA. But average sold price jumped up. $2,121,000. Yeah, you heard me correctly. $2,121,000 is the average sold price in Richmond Hill right now for week ending May 24th. That's only 2%, which is $35,000 off of the peak price that we had February last year. The low was June last year. The low was 1.675. We're currently 27% higher than the lowest month we had last year, which is 446,000 higher as far as average price goes than our lowest average sold price. Compared to last year, we're 7% higher than last year's average sold price. Median price is 1% higher than where we were a year ago. Looking at the dotted line, kind of looks like towards the end here, average price is trending up, but for a while now, if we use the 4-week moving average as the trend line, kind of flat over the last couple of weeks. 22 sold, 73% of those, quite a bit, sold at list price or more. Listings 1 week to the next are up, and months of inventory is up, sitting at 1.8 months of inventory. So it was trending down, and we've bounced back up a little bit. Here is Markham. Lots of stuff going on in Markham. So sales are down. 27 detached properties were sold for week ending May 24th. 11 were sold at $2 million or more, and that's been steady for 3 weeks now. Average sold price is $1,927,000. If we take the beginning of this year, man, prices have been trending up quite a bit in Markham. If we compare to the peak, we're 10% off the peak, which is $207,000. Our lowest month was September. Average in September was almost 1.7. We are currently 14% higher than our lowest month, which is about $230,000 higher when it comes to average sold price. Average sold price is 12% higher than where we were a year ago. Median price is 10% higher than where we were a year ago. And you can see prices trending upwards. Listings, we listed this is sales. Sales are pretty similar to what we sold last year at this time. 82%, we've been in the 80 percentile for a while now. 82% sold at list price or more. Listings, I mean, if we look at the orange, look, we're up by 3 from last week. Pretty much the same as what we were listing last year. The reason I'm really pointing to this, I'm going to go back. Sales are about the same. Listings are about the same as last year. Active listings this year is 174. Last year at this time, with the same amount of sales, basically the same amount of listings, active listings was 265. So we had way more choice last year versus this year, even though listings and sales are the same. Months of inventory this year sitting at 1.5. Last year months of inventory was sitting at 2.4, much higher. And you could see months of inventory is coming way down to 0.6. Then went to 1, 0.9, 1.5. Months of inventory starting to go up. Even days on market. We're sitting at 8 this year. Last year for the same week, 19. Let's talk about condos. 60 condos were sold. Sales has been coming down the last couple of weeks. One of those was at $1 million or more. Now this is condo apartments for all of York region. Average sold price, $742,000, which is 7%. You know, that is a mistake. That arrow should be pointing down, not up. We are 7% lower than peak pricing, which is $53,000. And our lowest month was July. We are currently, I've kind of got this backwards now. We are 8% higher. I'm messing this chart up really bad. I got the arrows going the opposite way. We are currently 8% higher than where we were a year ago. Oh, sorry, our lowest price. Compared to last year, the average sold price is 2% higher than where we were a year ago. Median price is 4% lower than where we were a year ago. Average sold price and median price has been gradually trending upwards. Of the 60 that sold, 60% sold at list price or more. 109 were listed, which is a little bit less than what we were listing the last couple of weeks. Months of inventory is remaining steady at 1.2 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. This is the months of inventory here. Comparing it to where we were last year, we were much higher. I mean, we've got Vaughan 1.4 this year, 3 months of inventory. Last year at this time, Richmond Hill, we're at 1.1. Last year was 3. Markham 1.5 now. Last year at this time was 2.4. Now, it was a whole different world last year. We were in the middle or at the tail end of price hikes, of interest rate hikes. It was a whole different world, different mindset. Everything was different. But this is the relationship. As months of inventory are higher, prices tend to come down. That's what was happening last year at this time. You know, this is a different situation now. Months of inventory are low, but should they start to get up closer to the 3 mark, 3 months of inventory, we're going to see the same thing, prices coming down. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.